All right. Well, no, things are going great with Cowgirl basketball right now. We are coming off of a week where we had a couple scrimmages, an inter squad scrimmage, and then a closed scrimmage with Stephen F. Austin, who was a really good, solid team last season, a tournament team. Feel really good about that. And now we're kind of just getting into that, place in the preseason where you still feel like you have a lot of practices left and you're trying to get your kids to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And they're handling that well, but we're definitely in that kind of grinded out moment right now. So just got to get through that because games are right around the corner, and once we get going, we've got a lot of games in a very short amount of time. So just trying to get as much in as we can right now in preparation. But I love where we are right now. I am very, very pleased with our effort. I'm pleased with the connectivity of this group. It's a really smart group, which is fun to coach because we can put things in and they pick it up very easily and apply it quickly. So just trying to kind of work out the kinks and get as much in as we can before we kick things off here in a couple weeks.
Jacie, what has it been like coaching alongside your sister?
It's been amazing. It's been, I guess, we've been together for 5 years already. With her being in different roles, but she's always been along my side throughout the whole time. So I do feel like we're getting better and better. It's the more time you are with someone and go through things, the better you learn each other and kind of can draw from past experiences. And I think that Terran and I are firing on all cylinders, probably better than what we ever have. But it's really special, family is family, and to have that loyalty and just connection with someone, on a daily basis is really incredible.
So you kind of mentioned at the end of your opening statement, but obviously when you guys start, that first week in November, you have, I believe it is 4 or 5 games all in that 1 week. So how are you prepping for that first week of play where you have just a bunch of games all in a row in all really quick succession?
Yeah, good question. You just have to not focus on the games, to be honest. I mean, we say every day we want our practice to be harder than games. So I think our kids are looking forward to those games because they feel like it's going to maybe be a little bit easier for them. We're going like crazy against our scout guys right now who are really, really good. We have an incredible group of scout guys that are so dedicated to us and just have shown up consistently, and they're bigger, faster, stronger. So that's really all we can do is just focus on the process and just, getting the most out of our practices right now. And I think that our kids will feel a little relieved when those games come.
Was there anything that was surprising or maybe solidifying that you saw in those scrimmages about the team?
I felt really good about our defense these last couple weeks. I think that that's a real strong point for us, whereas maybe before we hung our hat a little bit more on offense. It's kind of fun because I don't feel like we have to manufacture quite as much offensively when you've got the type of defense that I think we will have. So that's been, good to see. And outside of that, I think our kids were just all really solid. I can't say that anyone really stood out more than the others, but that's a good thing in this case because it speaks to the depth that we have in our roster, just, not really feeling like there's any drop-off. I think our floor is higher than it's ever been since I've been here, which is a fun thing.
Is there a person or a couple of people who sort of set the tone defensively?
Well, I would say, we put a lot of pressure on our point guards to really pick up and create a lot of chaos on that end. So Amari Whiting, Jaden Wooten, they're really giving us really good looks in the backcourt with that.
You just spoke about like the depth of this team this year. Last year in conference play, you kind of played about an 8-player rotation. Are you looking to make that a bigger number this year?
We would love to, yeah. And, there's so many things. I think every coach says that at the beginning of the year, but there's a lot of factors. You have to stay healthy. We're really experimenting and trying to figure out our lineups and what makes the most sense. We have a lot of versatility with that. We could be really small and fast, or we could be really big and long. So just a lot of different options that we're trying to figure out, but certainly we would love to be as deep as possible once we get into conference play.
Did you treat the scrimmage like a game atmosphere?
We did.
So how big is that for the transfer newcomers, the portal kids, to really get a grasp of that?
Yeah, no, I think it's very important. Honestly, for everyone, not just the transfers, but, even me as a coach, just kind of getting back into that routine and remembering, what the pregame speech is supposed to be like and all those things. It's great practice for everyone, but I know our transfers certainly appreciated that opportunity to kind of see how we do things. So it was a really good experience for us.
How did you feel about the place y'all got in the Big 12? Y'all were fourth. I think 2 first-place votes. Stailee was unanimous. How did you feel about that?
I wasn't surprised by Stailee. I think she's definitely earned that right. It is, the highest pick that we've had in the preseason since I've been here. And I think just really affirming to know our program is headed in the right direction, right? And I think other people are seeing, what we're capable of, as opposed to maybe before we were picked really low. And, I don't put too much stock into that. Honestly, I never have. I think in my career as a head coach, maybe one time, we finished either at or below where we got picked. Every other time in my career, we've finished above. So it's not something that I really put a lot of stock into, and our kids don't either. I think it's great to have that, affirmation of, I think we're pretty dang good, and I think other people know it. But at the same time, there's so much work to be done, and we're just focused on one day at a time and process right now.
Do you talk to the team about, when you have stuff like that, especially when it's higher expectations, do you talk to them about that and managing it, or is that just something you feel pretty confident they're not even paying attention to? Oh,
no, they're paying attention. We're all paying attention. The kids who stayed, the kids who came, they wanted to do something really special, and we got a taste of it last season. We've been to the tournament 2 of the last 3 years, but we're all very, very hungry to take that step forward as a program and, just be even more competitive for a conference championship. So it is something we talk about dang near daily. And like I said, in the past, we've been picked a little bit lower. To be finished 4th is just affirming that everyone else knows what we're capable of doing. And so just really embracing that target that's on our back for the first time in a while, and understanding that we can't have off days. Every day we need to show up and we need to get better. And we want to prove the people who, count us out wrong, but more importantly, we want to prove ourselves right. And that's really what we focus on every day.
So kind of going back to the topic of depth, obviously you talked about it in some of your other preseason pressers, but obviously losing Tannen was a big loss for this team. But you guys went out in the portal and you picked up Faith, you picked up Joseph, you picked up Favor, you picked up a lot of center depth as well. But then obviously Praise came back from last season, and she's going to kind of be that continuity piece. But kind of what are you excited about looking at this big man rotation? And you've talked about the defense. What are you looking forward to with that big man rotation?
Well, I said it before, but there's no drop off right now, and that's a really good feeling to have. So, Tannen she was a special player. She was a kid that you don't get very often. But I think now it's more going to be by committee. I think, we have strength in numbers. Like I said, there's no drop off amongst any of those players that you mentioned. They all have different strengths and weaknesses, of course, and maybe we'll play a little bit different depending on who's in the game. But it's just a really good feeling right now to, again, feel like our floor is, definitely been raised up. We're in a really good spot with that right now.
Coach Stailee's hit some big shots in her time here. I mean, how have you seen her like rise to the moment?
You just said it. She rises to the moment. That's who she is. She loves those big moments. She loves those big games. That's just who she is. I think that she's excited this season to have even more players around her who are kind of wired the same. But she's a special player and lives for those types of games and moments.
Are you seeing the kind of the next development in who she is as a player, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's just learning. I am trying to push her to rise to the moment and maybe raise up her level of intensity, maybe in the not so big moments. She's so gifted. She's so talented. She can show up and do something giving half effort that most people can't, giving 100% effort, if I'm being honest. And so where she's got to grow right now for us is just bringing it every single day in terms of her intensity. I don't want to say she doesn't work hard every day, because she does, but it's not the level of intensity that I think she could be at. And so we've been having conversations about that. And I challenge her. I mean, if you look at our season last year, we lost games we shouldn't have lost, right? We won games maybe no one else thought we would win. But to me, the thing that causes me to still lose sleep at night is losing some of those games we shouldn't have lost. And Stailee and I have had conversations, how do we prevent that from happening? And I think it's just having the same level of intensity and same approach no matter who you're playing or what the circumstances are.
Has Tyler unlocked like a new level of Stailee?
I think I see a different side of Stailee, a different dynamic. I don't know that I would necessarily say that, but they definitely have just a chemistry together. Obviously, sister connection. I've seen kind of a more fun, bubbly side of Stailee that I hadn't seen before. I definitely think they bring out the best in each other.
Now, you talked about losing some games maybe that you feel like you shouldn't have last year, and a lot of that came on the road, only losing one game inside Gallic, Iowa. How are you trying to prepare to take this team on the road this season?
I mean, we only lost a few road games. We had some really big road wins. So I definitely wouldn't say it's necessarily a home or away thing as much as just the name on the front of the jersey and us understanding what our approach needs to be no matter what. So, it was important for us to get a scrimmage away. We did not scrimmage here just in preparation for those road games. But in general, I think our kids understand the mindset they need to have on the road.
I had to ask you about Chad Weiberg. Dr. Hess gave him, told us all that he's going to get a new contract. Just your relationship with him and the vision that he has for this athletic department.
Yeah, I mean, Chad brought me here. I'm forever indebted to him for that. And I do have a long history going back to my assistant coaching days at Kansas State. He has a relationship with my husband that was established before I met my husband. So there's definitely a history and just a personal side of things that, like I said, I'm very grateful to him for. It's that time of the year where I will admit I am only focused on Cowgirl basketball and doing everything I can to help our program. So I haven't really had an opportunity to talk to Chad about just his vision for the athletic department. I know, he's obviously wants it to be the best that it can be. And there's a lot of change that's gone on recently that he's working through. And thankfully it has nothing to do with women's basketball. So I'm just staying out of that and letting him do his thing. But have confidence that, we're going to get where we want to go.
When you were hired, how secretive was Chad in his hiring? He has a big football hiring coming up. How secretive was he with you and trying to keep things under the radar? Well,
I mean, I don't know if you know Chad very well, but in general, he's a little bit under the radar. That's just his personality. He doesn't need to make a big scene or show about things. He's just kind of a good old Stillwater boy when it comes to that. So I think that Chad is who he is. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's his approach to hiring someone, but just his approach in everything. That's just kind of who he is. So the thing with Chad, you get the same person every day. It doesn't, waver, doesn't change. And I would say he's the same in his approach to hiring someone as he is in about everything else.
So how do you feel about the kind of the buzz around the program? I went to some of those early non-conference games last season, and frankly, Gallagher was kind of a bit sparse on the crowd, but the crowd definitely grew as the season gone on, especially that big TCU win. How do you feel about the buzz around the program, especially with such high expectations? How do you think these fans, the students, and the alumni are going to support you guys throughout the year?
I have full faith and confidence that they're going to get on board sooner this year, and I can't wait for that. I think, obviously you have to produce. You have to put a good product on the floor to get that return, and I think that we have proven that and will continue to. So I'm excited. I think that the turnout's going to be great. I just was texting with one of the big fraternities on campus. He's telling me he's fired up and wanting to get more involved. So I think that the relationships have been established. I think we're in a really good place with that. I am expecting the shirtless guys to show up at our games. Really looking forward to that.
People who are already trying to designate a shirtless section, so
100%, yeah. I think it needs to be behind the opposing team's basket in the second half. But no, I'm excited. I love our fan base. I love interacting with them, especially our students. There's just a really cool energy that they bring that the average fan can't bring, and so we're excited to keep growing it.
Jacie, in terms of the on-court product, do you feel like the team is ahead of where it was maybe at this point last year?
Yes and no. I think it looks different every year, and I've really learned that as a head coach, just not to, get caught up in that. I mean, if I look at my practice plans from last year or seasons before, some areas I feel really good, and some areas I'm like, crap, we need to go here. But in general, I love where we're at. I feel really good where we're at.
You mentioned last time, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we saw you. You mentioned you had some injuries at I think the post. Are those getting better?
Still kind of battling some of that. I wish I could say that we were back. This time of year, that's just what happens, though. So, you might get one back and then you lose another. We've been really fortunate not to have anything too serious at this point. And I feel good about by the time our season is here that we'll be 100% ready to go, but I still haven't quite got the look that I wish I had at this moment.
When you were talking about Chad bringing you here, I realized it's been 3.5 years. Does it feel like you've been here that long?
Yes and no. I mean, I have loved my time here. I'm so blessed to be here. This place has been so good to me and my family, and I get to live out my dream, honestly, as corny as that sounds. I mean, I just am so grateful for that every day. I absolutely love the team that we've assembled and what we've built over the last few years. Getting to have a new daughter that I get to, have around and bring up in such an amazing community and environment, and working alongside my husband, my sister. I mean, I'm living my dream. It's been really special, and some days seem longer than others, but when I look back, it has gone very fast.
What has kind of the difference been getting players into the system? What's the difference between someone like a Haley Timmer who's coming in as kind of a grad transfer versus someone like Alina Girardi who's coming in as an incoming freshman?
Very different in different ways. So, Haley's coming from a really, really great program, has really good habits. She just gets it. That girl has won a lot of basketball games, but there's some habits that maybe we're trying to break, not because they're necessarily bad, but just maybe don't fit our system. So that can be a little bit challenging, whereas Lena is just a clean blank slate, but then you're trying to teach her those habits. So very different, but kind of the same at the same time.
Kind of like speaking on the different situations, how is it putting together like a rotation when you've got to keep in mind returners, transfers, freshmen, and how do you kind of try and set the tone so future transfers want to come here, future freshmen want to come here, and players still want to stay?
Yeah, that's really hard to do, and I think at the end of the day, you just have to stay focused on winning basketball games. And I tell our team every day, I don't know what this is going to look like. I just know that we're going to do whatever it takes to win. And if you aren't on board with that, this is probably not the place for you. We say if it's not about winning, it doesn't matter. So if you've got to play a different position or maybe not play as big of a role on a certain game or a certain stretch, you have to be okay with that as long as we're winning. And that's our job as coaches to figure out what those lineups and rotations look like. But ultimately, we just got to continue to put it together and put wins together. And then I think that will attract the talent that we want.
Anything else? Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks guys.
Thank you.